Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Passioknit Kelsie. Today we are going to be continuing our series of crochet Reddit stories. So I will be down here, hello, and enjoy watching me make something while I tell you some stories from Reddit. So let's get started. The first story I'm going to read here is something that actually was posted 3 hours ago. It is from r/crochet and it is under the category Crochet Rant. The title is, I'm a yarn snob and cringe whenever someone says they buy yarn at Joann's/Michael's, and that is in quotation marks. I'm just ... so pissed. One of my coworkers knits. I knit and crochet, and has said this repeatedly to me. Said coworker had previously worked in local, to them, yarn store and got discounts on the products. Like, I'd love so much to support my local store, but not everyone has access or money to drop 15 plus for a single skein of yarn. 99% of the expensive stuff I have has been gifts because I don't have that type of money. Minor edit, I'm not trying to hate on coworker, and I know everyone has their preferences, but I certainly do have a preference for the yarn I buy. I'm just tired of them constantly saying something along these lines whenever I bring knitting up, as their attitude seems to be more of a, I look down on you for buying yarn from box stores. This is relatable. I don't know if it's relatable to me per se, but I've seen people in the community that talk like this and that feel this way. I think it's crazy. I can't relate. I would never call myself a yarn snob. I will buy yarn from like anywhere, everywhere that sells yarn. I'm there. Please give it to me. I would maybe even classify myself as like the opposite of a yarn snob because I don't like wool, honestly. And most of the time, like fancy yarn, a lot of it is wool, you know? I recently went to some local yarn stores, and it is true that a lot of the yarn there is expensive, but they do have more cheaper options occasionally. I bought some yarn, and I think it was $9 per donut, and honestly, that was like a great price. I went on like 2 separate occasions, and I bought 2 different things. I did get some superwash merino wool that was hand-dyed, but that is not the one that was $9. I think it was more along the lines of like 15 to 17, like these people were saying. But I also did from the same store get some yarn donuts that were around $9. I showed them all in my vacation vlogs if you are interested in seeing them. Yeah. I don't understand people that look down on other crafters for buying yarn from like big retail stores such as Joann's or Michael's, or even just using acrylic yarn. I don't get it. I've never gotten the appeal, really. Maybe that's because I haven't used enough fancy yarns. I don't know. Maybe one day, whenever I'm old, I'll become a yarn snob. I doubt it, but I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen the other side thoroughly enough, you know? Let's read some of these comments. I feel like the answer to this kind of thing is some variation on you're so blessed / lucky / fortunate to have that option / privilege / choice or opportunity in your sweetest Southern Belle voice. Or in my case, I often point out that the type of yarn that works best for what I make, acrylic blanket yarn for amigurumi, isn't even sold at those stores. That's true, actually. Most of the time, like for most projects, you really just need like a basic yarn, or you need a specific kind of yarn. Like in this case, this person is talking about amigurumi, making plushies. A lot of fancier yarn stores, they don't even really sell plush yarn. So most of them have like fancy 100% cotton, or they have really fancy like superwash merino wool, or they have unwashed wool, which is still considered fancy. Also, continuing this comment, there is absolutely nothing wrong with using what you like and have access to. None of this gatekeeping nonsense is necessary. That's so true. No need to gatekeep. As long as they are enjoying themselves and crocheting, then I don't see any harm in it at all. And if that's all they can afford, then why be mean to them? Also, if they can afford the more fancy yarn and they just prefer the less fancy yarn, like who cares as well? It shouldn't matter. Another comment says, ugh, gatekeepers. I'd love to be able to spend $90 for a single hank of hand-painted, all-organic, hand-spun yarn from grass-fed sheep that get massages and beer every day, but the fact of the matter is I'm not, and the majority of people are not. Ignore the yarn snobs and enjoy your yarn. Exactly. Basically, buy whatever you want within your budget and enjoy it, and like, why do you care what other people are using? Unless they're using it to like steal your patterns or something like that. Crazy. Someone else in the comments points out that not everyone has a local yarn store to go to. So if you wanted to be a yarn snob and just use fancy yarn, most people would have to order that stuff online. There are so many people out there that are just buying yarn from their local stores, which is usually a Michael's or Joann's. And some places don't even have a local craft store, so they are buying their yarn from like Walmart, which I buy yarn from Walmart. Basically, this was just somebody ranting about a little yarn snob back and forth at their work. They're getting a little tired of it, and that's understandable. I agree. Don't be a yarn snob, everyone. Buy what you like, use what you like, leave everyone else alone. Okay, next story. This is from r/Am I the Asshole? The title is, Am I the Asshole for asking my daughter to create a detailed plan for the yarn she already has before we will buy her anything else? Okay, so my daughter, 16 female, has taken to enjoying crochet and knitting and all that. I'm happy for her because it's a productive and creative hobby. She buys some of her own yarn and we buy the rest. The problem is that she has already developed a problem hoarding, not in the clinical sense, supplies. Tons of skeins of yarn, tons of supplies, etc. Every other week she wants to go to the store to get yarn for a new project. Every time she sees something new on TikTok, she has to make it, and I get it. Consumerism is a hard habit to stay on top of, especially when you're young. Wanting to have the latest things is just par for the course. It's no different than wanting the latest Xbox game or Sims 4 expansion or whatever. But I'm not interested in indulging it anymore. She has over 100 skeins. Okay, wow. I was thinking it was a little less than that, but 100 is quite a lot. Okay, yeah. I understand that I'm going to get a lot of comments saying, that's nothing, I have X amount in my stash, because I know the consumerism and collecting aspect of crochet/knitting is a part of the hobby, and people take great pride in showing off their stash. It's my job to instill good values in my kids, and I don't want her to end up one of those people who dies and their family becomes burdened with cleaning out 6,000 pounds of moth-infested yarn. And I want her to be able to commit to a project and not just hop around to what's cool this week. So, when it came to Christmas list time, she had a bunch of yarn listed. I told her that we will not be buying her any more yarn until she comes up with a plan on how she's going to use what she already has. I told her to come up with a plan for 2/3 of it and that we can reconsider. I even told her that if she wants, I can sit down with her and help her. She is furiously upset and telling me that I'm controlling and that I don't understand how crafting works, etc. She's really upset that she's not going to get what she asked for this Christmas. I come to y'all to ask, am I the asshole? Okay, my first impression is that no, the mother is not being an asshole in this situation because, yes, the daughter does need to learn that you don't constantly need to be buying new yarn for projects. That's something that a lot of crafters struggle with, me included. I buy new yarn a lot and I tend to overbuy, and sometimes I buy yarns with no plan in mind for them. Like the mother said, it's definitely a thing in the crafting community, but I think that we should be a little bit more conscious of it. To be fair, she is 16, the daughter, and I understand that at that age, it is really important to have all of these things. Shopping is like really fun, and you just want to keep buying and all that. At first, I thought, like she recently started crocheting and she's young. So I was assuming that her stash was relatively small, like maybe 30 skeins, around that number. But the mother says it's more like over 100 skeins, which is quite a bit. I mean, I definitely have over 100 skeins in here, maybe 300. I have no idea. But it is different for me because I run a business. I do this full time, and I have yarn on hand because I am crocheting all the time. Whenever I was a teenager, because I was crocheting whenever I was 16, I had a small yarn stash, but only a basket in my room. And then eventually my stepdad built me a little shelf. So I definitely wanted more yarn, but I wouldn't say I had a problem with buying it. And I also definitely would not have thrown a fit if I had asked my parents or someone else to buy me yarn and they told me no. Like, I wouldn't have had a fit. Definitely not. So, yes, I think the mother is right. First of all, she set a boundary. She offered to help her with that boundary. And that was sitting down with her and like making a plan for some of the yarn that she already has, which is a really good thing to do, honestly. I think it's fair. And like, why not? She's not telling her that she needs to use up the yarn before Christmas. All she's telling her is that she needs to have a plan. And like I said, I think that's fair. So my personal opinion is that the mother is not being an asshole, which is interesting because the ruling on the Reddit post is asshole. So I don't know. I don't know. I guess we're going to go down into the comments and see like why do they deem her an asshole? I want to know. Okay. First comment says, so just to be clear, the stuff she has is actually getting used, but just not in an orderly and linear fashion, with lots of half-finished projects laying around. Do you understand how hobbies work? I think it makes perfect sense to draw some boundaries, but Christmas gifts are a real weird time to draw those boundaries. It's not super expensive. It's going to make her happy. She's 16, so it's a little early to worry about her leaving an apartment full of yarn behind after her death. I saw a meme once that crafting and collecting crafting supplies are two separate hobbies, and there's some truth to that. But also, demanding that she has a detailed plan for 2/3 of her yarn is a surefire way to make crafting feel like a chore, and the result in her not doing any of it. A much more reasonable approach would be a one in for one out strategy, where when she finishes a project or gifts some supplies to a friend, she could buy more stuff to replace the used up supplies, rather than making crafting feel like a chore. This would incentivize her positively to make more stuff with what she has. So, you're the asshole in a small way. Okay, yeah. I mean, I can see how that strategy, like one out, one in, would be more motivating for her to finish up some of the yarn that she already has. But I still don't think that the first option was a bad option, like making a list of plans for her yarn. I don't know if it would work out. Honestly, like my plans for yarns, they kind of shift quite often, and I'm not sure if other crafters are the same. Here is another comment. You would not be the asshole for suggesting that you use up some of the backlog of yarn, but you would be the asshole if you insist on making her plot out the usage of it. I love having yarn. I've got bins of it. I think I would die before I write out a plan for using it, and I'm over 40. Okay, and then she just lists up some suggestions for using up your yarn, like donating it to local hospitals, something like that. Honestly, that's funny. I don't know. I don't think that writing out a list of plans for a yarn that I have would be that hard, but maybe that is because that's kind of something that we already do as a business person. Like, yes, sometimes I buy yarn just because it's pretty and soft or whatever, and I'm like, ooh, that's nice, but I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. But most of the time, the yarn that I'm buying a lot of or buying in bulk, I already have a plan in mind for it. Like, I have a bunch of velvet yarn and it is taking up a lot of space, but I know that I will be using that to make scrunchies, you know? Or the fact that I buy a lot of Lily Sugar and Cream cotton and it is taking up space, but I also know that I will be using that to make tops or bags or other things, you know, like bucket hats or something. So I don't know, maybe that's just because I'm a business person and I tend to make the same items a lot of the times. Maybe if it was more of a hobby, it would be much harder to write out a list of things that you have plans for. Especially, I guess, if you are just kind of a go with the flow kind of crocheter, just doing whatever is popular at that moment in time. One comment says, info, has she made anything at all? Does she seem to use the yarn or just collect it? And OP responds and she says, she has finished a number of projects, yes. So she is using the yarn. It's not just a hoarding problem. She is just really invested in this hobby, which is a great thing. It can be a great thing, but it can also get out of hand. I think it's good to have a nice balance, you know? Interesting. This comment says, so many of your comments just struck me in the wrong way. Like, all crafters are irresponsible and this is a nasty habit you want to prevent your daughter from falling prey to. The way you describe crafting, it could be one of the 7 deadly sins. What's with the attitude? So I think you're the asshole. Collecting lots of yarn is not a character defect. I think that's interesting because I didn't really get that vibe from the main post unless they're talking about like her responding in different comments, but I haven't seen her respond to a lot of comments. I've just been scrolling for a little bit though. It didn't really seem to me like she was saying there was anything wrong with the hobby. She was more concerned about like over consumerism and not knowing when to stop and, you know, having a healthy habit with your hobbies. And I think that's fine. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Did you feel like she was dogging on crafters at all? I don't know. I didn't get that. Okay, so like scrolling through the comments, like I said, the post labeled her as an asshole. I don't think she was. I was wondering why most of the comments think that she's an asshole. Most of them are coming from crafters, which is interesting. She even said it in the post. She was like, I know most of you are going to come at me and say like it's normal and crafters have stashes and blah, blah, blah. She says, I understand that I'm going to get a lot of comments saying that's nothing. I have X amount in my stash because I know consumerism and collecting is an aspect of crochet and knitting. So it seems like she knows about the hobby. She's interested in the hobby, or not interested, but she's done a little bit of research because her daughter is into it. Okay. Looking back over the post, I'm going to say like she's not 100% in the wrong. Like some things should be taught, like, you know, don't buy too much yarn. But also Christmas list, she's not going to buy her yarn. She even said that her daughter buys some of her own yarn. So I would just have a conversation with her about it, talking about like overbuying and why you should avoid it and things like that. Make sure she understands, but also like, you know, make sure she has a good Christmas. Buy her some yarn. I don't think like 5 to 10 more skeins of yarn is really going to affect it that much from Christmas. I don't know. What did you guys think of that story? Do you have a problem with buying yarn? All right, next story. This is also from r/am I the asshole. The title is, Would I be the asshole for creating a new knitting group? To make a long story short, about a year ago, I started a community knitting/crafting group for my neighborhood/community. It's not like super thriving or anything, but it's a small group of about 4 regular people, including me. We meet for a few hours at least twice a month at the local library. The 4 of us, me, 32 female, Lucy, 40s, Susan, 40s, and Polly, 30s. Names are made up. Let me know if you get the reference, LOL. No. Pretty much attend all of the gatherings, and a few other people pop in when they have time to join us. The entire Facebook group is only like 18 people. We usually just craft and chat together, vent about our partners, troubleshoot problems, etc. It's typically a pretty chill group dynamic. But in the last few months, Polly has been making this group kind of suck to attend. She's been kind of mean and judgy to other members of the group, especially the non-regulars that try to join. If you call her out on it, she's just all, "What do you mean? I was complimenting her." I'm pretty sure she's the reason why some of the other people don't come back or come less often. Lucy and Susan stick around mostly because they really just don't care, and I haven't left because, well, I started the group and I don't want to leave it, especially because I do a lot of the planning and coordinating. I run the Facebook group to schedule the meetups. I schedule days with the library to book our meeting room. I paid the annual fee with the library. Technically, it's not in our county, but it's the closest one to us, so I feel like it's my knitting group, but not in a my group, my rules kind of way, but in a I kind of lead the group, and it's kind of my baby passion, and I worked hard to keep this group running, so I feel a little possessive about it. I mean, she just said she runs the Facebook group and schedules the meetups and pays to rent the room at the library, so yeah, I would say it's her group. I've talked to Lucy and Susan about Polly's behavior, and they are very much don't rock the boat, don't cause drama kind of people. So if I were to try to have a conversation with Polly, it would literally end up being me with no backup. So I was thinking about creating a new group that meets on Sundays or Wednesdays because Polly can't meet on those days because of church stuff. But Susan thinks that it will cause drama if Polly finds out about the group. Lucy thinks that a good compromise would be to add every other Wednesday as a second group meet day during the week and keep Polly as part of the group and still meet every other Thursday, which seems like a good idea, but I think some members will still not come if they think Polly is invited. Plus, I would still have to do the booking/scheduling for her days, and she would still be involved in other group activities, so I would be doubling my work with this. I am just tired of dealing with Polly's trash attitude, and I just want to have a crafting group without the toxic attitude. This was supposed to be fun, and Polly turned this whole thing into a chore. That sounds like a sucky situation to be in, I have to say. I definitely wouldn't want that to be me. But I'm going to say she's not the asshole. I think that she should maybe just start another group. I was going to say she should do something about it, but I don't think she should have to confront Polly. Maybe like tell her, "Hey, I'm starting a new group. You're not invited." But if she doesn't want to do any sort of confrontation, just start a new one. And Polly doesn't have to be invited, and just don't. Just don't. This would be hard. Let's see what the comments say. Not the asshole. This is easy. Start the new group, hand over the old group's responsibilities to anyone willing to take them over, and if nobody steps up, the group ends, not your drama. Another comment says, not the asshole. You could just say you have a schedule change or people reached out asking to change it to those days, or also host a group on those days. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Just don't even say it was about Polly at all. You can just come up with a different excuse and just say, "Hey, it's on Wednesdays now." And if there are any certain people that you believe weren't coming to the groups because Polly was being mean, just let them know, "Hey, Polly's not going to be there." Another comment says, do a poll in the group about which time slots work best for everyone. Thursday at 6 no longer works for me. These are other days and times that work for my schedule and the library has available. Please vote. Make the days and the times only on Wednesday and Sunday. Change the meeting/day and time of the group accordingly and block Polly. Dang, block her. Someone asked, info, what have the non-regulars said? Trying to create another group with the intention of excluding a member is just starting drama. You need to figure out if Polly is a net negative or a net positive and then act from there. You don't seem to have the support to ban her, so you're likely looking at abandoning this group and forming a new one. It does sound like your hobby has turned into a chore. Yeah. OP responded to that question and says, nothing specific to me. This isn't like a formal thing where someone would send me their grievances with another person. I do notice that a few of the non-regulars are more likely to attend things if Polly isn't going to be there, but I just don't really have enough data to extrapolate. I just noticed that sometimes when the non-regular people join, she tends to be meaner, and I can tell that sometimes people are put off by her but don't say anything. Plus, I don't want to reach out to other members to ask what they think of Polly because that could also cause drama in my humble opinion. If it gets back to Polly. My friends who sometimes join have said she kind of comes off as bitchy, but that could also be because I kind of complain about her to my friends, so I don't trust that they are unbiased. I know that there will be drama. Every knitting group in the world has some kind of drama. I just hate that the thing I created for fun and meeting people in my community has just become work now. Yeah, I think that probably just any way that they spin this, Polly is going to be upset. If it were me, I would probably just abandon the group and I would not talk to any of them ever again. But I am a very anti-confrontational person. I would rather just walk away and never think about it again than say anything. Yeah, so overwhelmingly the comments are telling her that she would not be the asshole if she created a whole new group. Most of the comments are agreeing with her and telling her that she should make a new group, or they're offering different solutions for a way to either talk to Polly, figure out the problem, or just leave Polly out of the equation completely. So I don't know. What do you think? If you were in this situation, what would you do? I just think that this situation sucks. Totally. Wouldn't want to be in it at all in the first place. And that is probably why I don't go to any of my local knitting groups. I think that there are some, but that's also just because most of them are only older people. It's hard to find a group that is full of young people in their 20s. Yeah, that was interesting. That was an interesting one for sure. I would not want to be in that situation. Okay, guys, the next story is also from Am I the Asshole? The title is Am I the Asshole for Giving Somebody a Knitted Blanket with Mistakes for Their Birthday? I knitted this blanket for my friend's birthday. It took me 3 weeks since I'm new at knitting. There were some mistakes such as drop stitches, but I worked really hard and it has quite intricate stitching. My boyfriend said that I should just buy the friend a blanket because knowing them, they would freak out about the imperfection, but I sent it anyway. So my boyfriend was right and they didn't appreciate the gift. I'm embarrassed now and mortified to give my knitted gifts out. Am I the asshole? First of all, no, definitely not the asshole for giving someone a gift that was knitted. To be fair, whenever I started crafting, whenever I was younger and I was new to the crafting world, I was very excited to share the things that I was making, and I did give people a lot of gifts. And I regret it because they were horrible. And then I see them wearing them and I'm like, those suck. So maybe just like from an experienced crafter's position, like I am now, I wish that I wouldn't have gifted them because now I see them and I'm like, oh, those are so bad and it's embarrassing. But at the time, I thought it was fantastic and I was really excited to give them out. So the person that got the blanket was absolutely rude and they should have appreciated it. But maybe that person is just high strung anyway, especially since the boyfriend said, like, maybe you shouldn't give them that blanket because knowing them, they would freak out about the imperfections. They kind of sound like a person that would not appreciate a gift like that, or yeah, I mean, just rude. But I also think that the boyfriend should have been supportive. Like, and maybe he was. Maybe they're leaving that part out. Like, yes, he should have been supportive and said, like, yes, I think that that blanket is a good gift. But another way of being supportive is like warning her, like, just let you know that person is kind of rude, and you might expect them to not like the gift, knowing them as a person. Overall, on the post, it is marked not the asshole. So let's just read through some comments and see what other people have to say. One comment says, not the asshole. I would feel so honored if someone gave me a gift that they spent so much time and effort on. I actually did something similar. I can kind of crochet. So before my first niece was born, I tried to knit an extra thick blanket. I ended up running out of yarn and it became a really ugly mattress pad. I gave it to my brother and sister-in-law anyways. They put it in her cradle and she carried around during her first year of life when she learned to crawl and walk. Even though it was the ugliest thing I've ever made, they cherished it. That's how your friend should have reacted. Yeah. Even if the friend didn't like it at all whatsoever, she shouldn't have said anything. She should have said thank you and smiled, and then she can donate it afterwards or whatever. Like, who cares? Another comment says, I believe it was the yarn harlot who said knitting is a human activity and it is okay for it to look like it was made by a human. In other words, mistakes happen and that's fine. Not the asshole at all. Your friends and your boyfriend, on the other hand, ... Like I said, I don't think the boyfriend was in the wrong. He was warning her, and relationships, you should be open and honest with your partner, and you don't want them to get their feelings hurt. So if you know somebody is going to react badly to something, then like a warning is a nice thing to do. I don't know, it kind of depends on how it came out of his mouth. It could come across badly, but I think I'm probably picturing it in a way that me and my boyfriend would communicate with each other, so I wouldn't take it as a bad thing, but it could come across as a bad thing to some people, I guess. But the friend was definitely not cool. Okay, so here is a interesting viewpoint. Someone called them the asshole, and they are a knitter themselves. So let's read their comment. Mistakes happen for sure. I've been knitting for a decade and I've given away things with little mistakes all the time. But drop stitches are fixable mistakes and will only continue to unravel if left unfixed, ultimately destroying your project. It is inconsiderate to give someone a broken gift, which is what a blanket with drop stitches is. OP's heart was in the right place, but I'm going to have to go with you're the asshole. So that is true. If you've ever done knitting, if you drop a stitch, that entire row under that stitch, all of the stitches that you've done before that, they will also come unraveled, and it will create like a little space, and it just looks like yarn, like just going across, but it does have holes in it. So it's not like crochet where if you miss a stitch or add a stitch, like you can't really tell if you are not a crocheter. Like, you may be able to tell something's wrong with it. It might look wavy, especially if you're adding stitches. But if you just like missed one stitch, it's not going to make a huge difference. But on knitting, it will unravel the entire row under that. So it's kind of a problem if it has drop stitches in it, unless you fixed it, which I don't know if OP did that. Another comment says, not the asshole. Wow, how ungrateful. I would be so impressed if a friend did that for me. Another comment says, oh no, not the asshole, OP, not at all. That's really sweet. I'm sorry that they were both so rude. That's terrible. That's really amazing. If someone knit me a blanket, oh my God, I would think that That was the kindest thing ever. It's so thoughtful. Anybody should be honored to receive a gift like that. Please keep knitting and please keep giving them out. Most people would not react badly to that, I hope. So I agree that she should keep knitting. I don't know if she should keep giving them out, honestly. Because, like, let's be honest, I don't really want a badly made blanket unless it was from a really, really close friend, but more really like a sister or a child. Maybe that's me and I'm being the asshole, but I don't know. Okay, here is another comment from the other perspective. So this comment says, "You're the asshole. I'm sorry, but it's just weird and inappropriate to drop your practice scraps on a friend as a gift and then act like they are in the wrong. You wouldn't go to the store and intentionally pick out something that is low quality as a gift. Just because something is homemade doesn't mean it is cute or likable. Keep practicing and wait until you are skilled enough to be giving these things out as gifts. Don't put people in situations where they have to pretend your knitted blankets are good. That is how children are treated." Yeah. "You're being incredibly sensitive about the issue when you're the one who messed up. I honestly believe that with your boyfriend suggesting another gift, that your friend being unable to even grin and bear it for the sake of being polite, your blanket must have been very, very bad. It's actually pretty ridiculous that you believed a poorly knitted blanket would be a good gift for a friend. And unless I missed a comment where you indicated otherwise, literally all she did was ask you to fix it." I see both sides. Yeah, I think I see both sides. One of the comments asked, "What did your friend say?" And the original poster responds and she says, "She asked if I could fix some of the dropped stitches and that the stitches were straight or symmetrical and wondered if I can fix that too." She asked if I could fix some of the drop stitches and that the stitches were straight or symmetrical and wondered if I can fix that too. That doesn't make sense. I don't know if the second half of this makes any sense, but she asked if I could fix some of those drop stitches, which, like we talked about earlier, drop stitches is a problem and it will unravel the entire row all the way down to the bottom, like where you started the knitting. So they can be fixed. Honestly, it's not that hard to fix them with a crochet hook. And having drop stitches would definitely cause holes in the blanket. So I don't think that maybe asking them to fix the drop stitches is an issue. Someone responds to that and says, "To be fair, a drop stitch can unravel an entire blanket. Asking for that to be fixed is totally fine. That's like giving someone a bookshelf where the screws aren't screwed all the way in." Yeah. Okay, here's another comment. It says, "I'm a bit surprised at the response here because most of the response was overwhelmingly, 'You're not the asshole.' And this person says, 'Very gentle, you're the asshole from me. The common wisdom for gift giving is that it is the thought that counts. For me, that's something really different than the time it took to make or the effort that went into it. I can spend weeks hand sewing a princess ball gown, but that doesn't automatically make it a wonderful gift for, say, my uncle who's never even worn a tie. Your friend dislikes imperfection in blankets for whatever reason, and your boyfriend warned you of that. It would have been the more thoughtful thing, and thus the better gift, to give them a perfect blanket, whatever your opinions on the beauty of imperfection may be." Yeah. Yeah, that's why I say I can see it from both sides, because, like, are you really a great friend of theirs if you don't know them well enough that they would not like truly appreciate this kind of gift, like a blanket with holes in it and runs and stuff like that. It could go either way, I think. Yeah, anyway, moving on. Another one from Am I the Asshole? So the title is Am I the Asshole for Ruining My Girlfriend's Blanket that she worked on for 6 months? Oof. Okay, another bad boyfriend story. Am I the asshole for ruining my girlfriend's blanket she made by hand? I know the title may sound bad, but hear me out. Me, 33 male, and my girlfriend, 21 female, met online 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Okay, he's 33, so he would be 30. And she's 21. So 3 years ago would be 18? 18 and 30? We moved in about a year ago. Oh. And it has been calm and amazing living with her. I genuinely love her so much and I want to get married someday. But recently she hasn't been giving me much attention and has been knitting a lot, a hobby of hers. She really enjoys it, but it just makes me feel lonely because she doesn't spend as much time with me as she did in the past. She knitted a blanket over the past half a year and she just got done with it. So I thought she would take a break and spend more time with me, but she just went into making another blanket. And when I asked why she couldn't stop for a few weeks and spend time with me, but she told me that we spend enough time together and this is just a hobby she enjoys, but she is sorry and she will try to spend a bit more time with me. She did start spending a bit more time with me, but not a lot, and it just really frustrated me. So after I came home from after work and see her knitting in her chair in the front room, parentheses, she just got off work an hour before, I just blew a fuse and yelled at her for never spending enough time with me, and she left to stay at a friend's house for the night. I regret yelling at her because she has been abused in the past and yelling is a trigger, but I was just so frustrated. But what I did next, I think, was worse. I took the blanket that she made that was lying on our bed and I cut it up and threw it away. Oh. Wow, okay. When she came home the following day, I apologized for yelling at her and said it would never happen again, and we talked for a bit and came to an agreement that we both need to spend more time with each other and we can't keep getting caught up in our work and hobbies. So I thought after that it was going to be fine and we wouldn't talk about this again, but a few minutes later she started dinner and she went to throw away the onion skin and saw her blanket in the trash. Okay, so this guy thought, oh, we're just gonna talk about it, and I'm just never gonna tell her that I cut up her blanket. I thought we were just cool. You know, she would never notice that a blanket that took her half a year is not on the bed anymore. He didn't even take out the trash to try to hide it. Like, oh boy, okay. Let's continue. She saw her blanket in the trash, and when she pulled it out, she was furious. She ran into the front room where I was watching TV and screamed about how inconsiderate of her I am and how I'm an awful boyfriend and this and that. After a bit of screaming, I tried to apologize, but she said, "Fuck off, you old cunt." Yeah. And packed a small bag and went to her mother's. She is not answering any of my calls and texts, and I'm getting really worried. What do I do? Am I the asshole? Yeah, buddy. What? Huh? What? I can't even comprehend how he thought that he could just fly by after that. Like, literally, he goes to sit down to start watching TV. Like, they have their little discussion, and he's like, oh, great, we're all good. You go make dinner, and I'm going to watch TV. Boy didn't even think of the fact that he cut up her handmade blanket and it's just sitting in the trash can. He didn't even mention it. That is literally crazy. Okay, there's an update. After going through and reading everyone's comments, I now realize that I was the asshole. I ruined a relationship with a perfect girl that deserves far better than me. As many of you have called it, she has left me, and I hope she finds someone that will treat her better than I have. She deserves the world, and I do love her, but I know that I need to get help, and that's what I will be doing. Thank you so much, Reddit community, for your feedback. It has helped me see how much of a dick I really am. Oh, wow. 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 I'm not surprised that she left him in the update. I am surprised that he sees what he did wrong and he's going to get help for it. Interesting. Wow. Good for him, I guess. Let's see some of the comments. How do you even need to ask this question? Like when women post, they're like, my boyfriend did something awful and I got mad and now he's pissed at me. Am I the asshole? And then there's men like you who are like, I need my child of a girlfriend to be 100% focused on me at all times. So I destroyed something she worked hard on. Is that cool? Like, she can spend time with you while knitting. She can knit while you watch TV together. Knit while you talk about your day. Do you have hobbies, dude? You're the asshole. I'm glad she's free of you. You're a pervert for hooking up with an 18-year-old anyway, and ironically, she's more of an adult than you. Yeah. Another comment. You're the asshole. You're not capable of spending time together while she knits. My boyfriend and I have been together a month, and he's perfectly content watching TV together while talking while I crochet, which is what we did last week. I was able to enjoy my hobby, make a new blanket, and spend time with my boyfriend. You're a grown-ass man, not a toddler. You don't need her undivided attention 24/7. Yes. Yeah. No, he definitely sounds more like a toddler. It's even worse considering the fact that they got together when he was 30 and she was 18. They've been together for 3 years. He's now 33 and he is still acting like that. That's wild. That's wild for a 33-year-old man to be doing. This sounds like, teenagers in their first ever relationship learning what to do. Whew. Another comment. So you threw her blanket away that she worked on for 6 months and made lovingly by hand because she was knitting while you weren't even in the house. I'm amazed she was nice to you as she was. You're the asshole, and for what you do now, you make sure you're out of the house when she is inevitably coming back to get the rest of her things. Yeah, It is weird how the thing that set him off is that he came home to her already knitting and then he just immediately starts yelling at her. First of all, he should never, ever be yelling at her for knitting, but it would have made more sense if they were, let's say, doing something together or like watching a movie or trying to have a conversation about something and she was knitting and he felt like he wasn't being paid attention to or something. But for him to just walk in the house and see her knitting and that to just set him off and start yelling is crazy. Crazy. Someone else says he's immature and controlling. Yes. Someone else says this has got to be fake. It's such an obvious you're the asshole. No way someone could be so delusional to think this behavior was okay. Also, who's dumb enough to throw away the blanket pieces in plain sight and think that everything will be okay and the girlfriend won't find out? Yeah. This could be rage bait. It could be fake. It could be a made up story, but I don't know. Most of the comments are agreeing. I haven't seen one single comment that is on his side, even a little bit. A lot of them are talking about multiple aspects, just like the weird age gap, the fact that she can knit and also spend time together, the fact that he threw away the blanket and didn't even acknowledge it, didn't even think that she would find it in there. Mostly just talking about how he is such a weird and horrible person. And the fact that he didn't even think he was an asshole, the fact that he had to go to Reddit and like ask, like, do you guys think I'm an asshole? Yeah, buddy, you have some problems. Whew. Wow. Okay. Let's go with the last story of the day. This is also from Am I the Asshole? The title is Am I the Asshole for Making Money Off a Gift That Was Given to Me? Okay. I, 17 female, am an extremely creative and passionate crafter. I love sewing, knitting, and sculpting, and so on. Everyone knows this about me, and so it's always heavily influences what I'm gifted for Christmas and birthdays. This birthday, my cousin bought me a brand new knitting machine. I've been wanting one for an incredibly long time, although I hadn't bought one myself as it's a bit of an investment piece. I was really thankful and happy for the gift, and I absolutely adore using it. The machine has given me the ability to try many different patterns and make wildly different things with my knitting, such as crop tops, sweatshirts, beanies, scrunchies, handbags, and so on. It took me a little while to get used to the machine and to be able to use it to its full potential. Now, here's where the problem comes in. I recently opened a small business where I sell many different craft products, many of which are completely funded by myself and have nothing to do with the machine, but my most popular items are often my knitting machine made items. I buy all the wool and yarn myself, and I make everything by hand with the machine. My cousin recently found out that I use the machine in my business and says it's unfair that I am making money off of a gift they gave me because I didn't need to invest the money on buying the machine. They did, and is demanding I pay her back the full price it cost to buy the machine. I find this extremely unfair as it was their gift to me and I shouldn't be expected to pay them back, especially as all the other materials are paid for by me. I'm really conflicted on what to do because I really don't want drama and I'm thinking of just paying them back to avoid problems, but I feel that I shouldn't need to pay them back because it was a gift in the first place. Am I the asshole here? Wow. This is another one that is I feel like it's kind of crazy. I don't know if it's as crazy as the last one, the boyfriend cutting up the blanket. That was wild. But this is such a weird request to get from a family member after they have given you a gift. It was a birthday gift. For them to ask you for the price back is just, that's wild to me. That I would never do that. In fact, if somebody in my family was wanting to start a business, I would want to support them in any way that I could comfortably, and getting them a supply or a tool to use in that business is absolutely something that I would have no problem doing and something that I would want to do for them. Not even including the fact that this was a gift for a occasion. Literally her birthday. Like, that's wild. That's wild. And it didn't even, like, it was not a problem at all until the cousins started making money from their business using that machine. I wonder what else, like, what did she think she was going to do with it, you know? I mean, maybe at the time of the gift giving, she didn't have a business, which I think is what happened here. But still, why does it matter? Like, if she was using it to make her own clothes or like make stuff for herself, make stuff for her friends and family, it wouldn't be a problem. But as soon as she starts selling those things, it's a problem. I don't understand, honestly. I don't get where the cousin is coming from at all in this situation. Wow. Okay. So the vote on the post was not the asshole, and I totally agree with that. The OP would not be the asshole in this situation. I think the cousin is totally the asshole. So let's see what the comments say. The first comment says, "Not the asshole. That's ridiculous. They gave you a gift. What you do with it is entirely your business." Pun intended. Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. What somebody does with a gift after you give it to them is out of your control. And I mean, I do think that gifts should be treated with respect, especially while you're like still at the party and whatnot. But after that, that gift belongs to the person that you gave it to, and they have a right to do with it whatever they want, you know? Even if that means like returning it or doing whatever with it, like, you don't have a say. Another comment says, not the asshole. Your cousin is being downright rude. They gave you a gift and you're making incredible use of it. They should be happy that you used your gift so well. That's true. That's totally true. Don't you dare pay them back. They gave you a gift, not an obligation. Congrats on having a successful business. Fiber arts are a difficult one to make profit off of. Someone responds and says, the cousin clearly has some difficulties understanding the concept of a gift. I wouldn't be surprised if they come back at some point demanding shares of the business. Ooh, I hope that doesn't happen. Yeah. At that point, you would have to just give her the money for the knitting machine. You know, like, okay, fine, here's the money. I bought it from you, so it's mine. Like, you know. Another comment says, not the asshole. Is this for real? You're using a tool to create products. The machine itself isn't generating value. You're using it to produce. I'm asking if it's real because if otherwise, it's embarrassing that a 26-year-old doesn't understand that concept. If someone gives you a bike, can they then demand a cut of your paper routes? Not the asshole. A gift is a gift. No takebacks, no refunds, no debts owed. Do not pay them back. Otherwise, next time it will be, you owe me a percentage cut of everything you make because I inspired you nonsense. Your cousin is taking the piss. Do not reward them. Yeah. Yeah. Someone else says, buy yourself a new machine and give the cousin theirs back if they want to be petty, not the asshole. Which might be like the safest option if the cousin decides to take this like way too far. Another comment says, not the asshole. I can't believe your cousin thinks that if you give someone a gift, they can get any financial profit from it. If I am given a bike and cycle to work, do I have to pay them back for the bike? Or if I get given a really nice pen and use it to make notes in a meeting or sign a contract, do I have to pay them for that? Or get given a book on a medieval druids, which inspires me to write a best-selling fantasy series, do I have to give them a percent of the profits? What the hell? Yeah. Yeah. I'm currently scrolling. I do not see any comments that are on the cousin's side at all. Oh, here's one. Okay. This comment says, well, I actually disagree with a lot of people here. You're the asshole because she didn't realize you were going to make money with the gift she gave you. And oh my God, what on earth am I saying? Of course you're not the asshole. The real question is, who hurt your cousin and why is she this way? Okay, yeah. I didn't read the whole thing. So still, I see no comments on the cousin side. A gift is a gift. You can't ask for the money back. What's wrong with your cousin? I wouldn't accept anything from that person ever again. That is weird behavior. Your cousin seems to be jealous of your success. Her greed is not a good look. Wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, that was the last story that I had for today. The last two stories were the most crazy, definitely. Well, that was a lot. I do hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you missed the first one, you can go back and watch it. I will have all of these Reddit stories linked in this video description if you want to go to Reddit. Look at them yourselves, read the comments, do whatever. I hope you enjoyed the crochet aspect. We made a little bucket hat today, so that was fun. And yeah, that's all I've got. If you want me to read more Reddit stories, I would definitely appreciate it if you would send some my way if you want, if you have time, if you're just scrolling Reddit and you find something so intriguing. It doesn't all have to be about crochet or knitting or whatever, you know. Maybe we'll expand a little bit, who knows. But anyway, thank you so much for watching and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.